Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Wickaninnish. I wanted to express appreciation to TJ for your comments in support of our Atleo and posing frank questions to our guests from the department. You know, it's important to understand that we're trying to break down these powerful perceptions that reside within our people about the department. And it's not a pretty picture. In mid-'80s, the department headed by Wayne Shinners made this grand public announcement about the bad Indians fishing Fraser River fish, charged 29 of them, had TV cameras go to Musqueam, and bleary-eyed, sleepy-eyed Indians come into the window receiving these court documents about being under arrest. 29 of them. We got wind of the press conference that was going to announce this wonderful job that the department is doing in terms of enforcement, while our people were exercising their right in their territories. What Mr. Shinners didn't know was that we were going to that press conference. There was only three of us, Alvin Dixon, Ed Newman, and myself. And we watched when Wayne came in. The last thing he expected to see was Indian leadership in that room. His jaw just about fell to the floor. But he carried on, made this grand announcement about this wonderful job the department was doing in enforcement. 27 of those 29 charges were dropped because the press wasn't there to ask questions of Mr. Shinners. As soon as they recognized Ed as the president of the Native Brotherhood of BC, they didn't ask Wayne one question. They turned the mic to Mr. Newman and said, "What do you think, Mr. Newman?" And Ed nailed it right on the head. First comment, he said, "I believe it's a racist act." And it was. Make no mistake about it, it was. 27 of those 29 charges were dropped just like that. And then we get the Atlantic Coast incident, where some of our guys were supporting those nations. They're fighting the Marshall decision. And you get this DFO vessel deliberately intending to maim and harm, running right into one of our boats, and this picture went viral. It was one of our guys jumping from that boat. But there was no friendly relationship there. There was very serious intent to hurt and to harm. So those are lasting impressions, along with what happened in Oka. That wasn't related to the department, but there's this general perception about an attitude against our people. And every one of these guys sitting in here, the Atleo, are saying, no, we can do better than that. They're being open to actually working on establishing a good working relationship with these same guys who have this attitude against our people. Now, you don't get painted along with that same brush. You know, the beauty of our people and why we survive is there's always a hope. There's always a hope that you can be a human being and actually understand. And there's a purpose behind us delivering messaging to you that generates this understanding of who we are as a people, what that box symbolizes. That is a hopoquinum. That symbolizes the governance box of a Atleo, owned by every Atleo. You folks were shown that by McQuina in a house. In my view, it's bigger than a constitution. It's the most powerful symbol of authority. That wasn't created by us. We need to emphasize that. That's not a man creation. That's a gift from the Creator. And so we need to impart that understanding about respect. Iisaak. Iisaak's dust. To me, you know, like, we are constantly confronted by government officials telling us how complicated things are. Almost like looking down our nose and saying, there's no way you as Indians can understand. Only we'll understand. Because that's how complicated it is. And we know different. It's not complicated. You wipe that attitude from your mind. It's not complicated. And we can help you understand simplicity. Because people have a huge challenge to embrace the idea that things were pretty darn good before you guys landed on our shores. The newcomers are so arrogant that they take no blame for the state of our resources. No apologies for the wealth generated by our resources. You know, I mean, what does it take to figure out that a tree to maturity is 350 years? So what does our provincial government do? They change the policy to start harvesting second growth trees 60 to 80 years. Used to be 80 to 120. And that was bad. And how complicated can common sense be? If you look after things, you know, Iisaak, that's respect for self, respect for others, respect for all living things and inanimate things. How complicated is it to actually embrace and live a way of respect and understanding that Iisaak, that there is an interconnectedness with activities, that the world isn't made by man that says labels here for everything, that allows you to do things here without consideration for the impact over here. It's like 101 excuses not to care about how you conduct yourself, especially with renewable resources. So I want to not only leave a message for our guests, but all of us. Two very powerful principles that state the simplicity of things, of looking after things. Like Lyle said, taking only what you need. If you did that, you'd have stuff forever. So we try to share the knowledge with our friends about Iisaak. And it becomes challenging when you hear my relative talk about the effect of our behavior and attitudes on the young people. And what he's saying is we need to provide a better platform for our young people here to carry on in a way that will be respectful, that will be cooperative. Because one of the things that we talked about often in the Clayoquot Sound conflict, and I chuckle about that because we engaged the mummalthee, environmentalists, who never give credit to our people about what happened there. Never. There's people stepping up in Clayoquot Sound again saying, oh boy, it's good to be on the front line again. We're going to fight this mining stuff. You know that demonstrations in Clayoquot Sound in 1993 and prior years to that would have never happened without the authority of Haiuea. Was there Hahoti, Tai for Tlaoquet, Wickaninnish. We made them ask permission. We delivered the message that the rights and title holders are Hauea. Mr. Watson came, he was going to hammer nails in all the trees. we sat him down and said, no. You don't do that in our Hahotli. We explained to him what we were doing. He made this grand announcement about his plans, but he left the sound with his tail between his legs, never said a word. Never said that those guys are right. Those guys are doing it right. And to this day, not one environmentalist acknowledges the role that we played in providing sanity to managing forests in Clayoquot Sound. So, the point, we have a lot to offer. And merge the knowledge and learning within a department with knowledge on the ground of our people. You'll never go wrong. Because if you think of the minuscule of time that the newcomers have been here and the devastation of resources that has occurred, and the thousands of years, not just a couple hundred, thousands of years, where we only took what we needed. Planks out of a big tree that would heal itself, so you could take another plank 100 years from now. So, we want you to seriously think about understanding that maybe they are right that it's not that complicated. And connect the dots. We're on little dots on the coast of British Columbia because we depended on the sea. And who said that? The government of the day. They turn around and introduce all kinds of policies that squeeze our people off the waters. We come to you and say, no, we've got a reasonable sharing plan here. Why? Because we recognize there's no sailboat that's going to come around and take you back home. What does that mean? That you're here to stay. And if you're here to stay, our Hahotli is going to embrace you. And what does that mean? You pay attention to the laws of that Hahotli. You pay attention to the principles that says we have to look after our resources, not only for our future generation, but your future generations. Sometimes you ought to think about your future on this planet. And if you do so without considering the values that we have as a people, I know where we're going. And we're going to venture forward ourselves as a people to save everybody else's. Because you cannot keep doing what you're doing without paying attention to our people and our values. Because there's not too many other people on this planet that says, we're here because of Nos. We have Howismas because of Nos. So it's not a light thing. It's not a small thing. And collectively, jointly, we need to break down those attitudes. And we're appealing to your humanity. Like Simon always says, Tsawat Squina, we come from one as a people. Don't ever forget that. Thank you.
Kleko, Wickaninnish, thank you for those words.